Hello, good morning again. It's Chris, G4NAB. I left a big hole yesterday in describing the other benefits of the SvxLink. I told you all about an SvxLink node, but I didn't tell you about the SvxLink Reflector. So here we go. I've got some notes to refer to, so please don't mind where my eyes are going. Having written so much about the software quite recently, I blanked the other part completely. So what I'm reading now is not for the average user, because the average user will be quite happy with the node and the dashboard. I'm talking to those people now who want to set up a hub. We've got enough hubs in the UK, so please don't make another one, because you'll just split the activity. We don't want that. We want it all together. That was the whole point of having a hub. So, in any network, you only need one. So it happens in the UK we've got two. But myself, Lee and Josh, my two compatriots in the Yorkshire net, have joined the two networks together. So we actually share the talk groups, and we share some of the other links as well. So here we go. So what you see here now is actually a snapshot, or it's a working snapshot, of the UK SvxReflector. Typically, one reflector can provide all the connectivity necessary for a region, providing the situation is robust. Perhaps a duplicate running in hot standby might not be a bad idea, but one reflector in theory could be enough connectivity for the USA, for example. I'll leave the techie stuff to the end, but I'll explain how it works in the UK first, so that the basics can be understood. I run the SvxReflector in a virtual machine in Proxmox hypervisor. I maintain an external domain name to provide connectivity to all the connected nodes and repeaters, so that their SvxLink configurations can reach out to the SvxReflector using a specific UDP port. Now, stage one. Provided the system operator of a repeater has configured his reflector logic in the SvxLink configuration correctly with an authorized key, or as of now an X509 certificate, the repeater has a passive connection to the reflector. Also within the repeater's configuration is a node_info.json file that, when configured, can share location and operating conditions. To be of benefit, each repeater keeps a number of talk groups in a monitoring list. A system of talk groups will be devilish to construct, so I've adopted the DMR standard, constructed from the MCC codes. So for example, 235 is a group common to all the nodes in the UK to make it a national network. So our repeater keeper in the southeast of the UK inserts 235, 23510, 23561 into his monitoring list, but the repeater still maintains its status as a standalone device by means of its passive connection to the SvxReflector. However, if a user elsewhere on the network chooses to activate 235 on his node or repeater elsewhere in the country, then when he transmits the first time after activation, all the nodes on that talk group will activate, making it a super repeater. So the whole system comes live. If a user meets another and they decided to move off the 235 group, and sometimes this is conducted automatically, they go to another talk group, or in the case of the automatic shift, to a random talk group. The rest of the system will reset after 30 seconds to passive connectivity again, leaving it free for further communication. The two users continue their conversation in their newly assigned talk group. Because the system announces the change of talk groups, Anyone else who wants to join in that conversation from another node sends 93 hash or £, that changes the talk group on that node to follow the others. The SvxReflector is capable of holding multiple channels of conversation in this way that don't interfere with one another. A user can also call a talk group even if it is not listed on his repeater. So a user in the southeast can use that repeater by calling DTMF 91235990 to connect to a group of repeaters in the Midlands of the UK that carry it. You will have seen for perhaps 23561. It'll be on the list in front of you. If it is, yes it is. It's on alongside my call sign G4NAB-L. Now that talk group is a talk group in the northeast of the UK, links a couple of repeaters and a lot of DMR repeaters. So in making the network more dynamic, my colleagues Lee M0YDG and Josh M0DIT and myself have linked our two reflectors by common talk groups. This means that a user of a repeater in the Yorkshire network, as it is known, can call up a talk group shared in the UK reflector and talk to users in the southeast, although they are not directly connected. But because of the quality of the 16 kilobits of audio used, there's not a flicker. Naturally there's a little bit of latency, but who doesn't expect latency even on a digital network? Interlinking in this way is fine, provided the knowledge of the system is so capably... let me say that again. Interlinking in this way is fine, provided that the knowledge that the system is so capable is widely known. It's still a bit quiet. So Lee and myself have provided a number of SvxLink hybridized virtual machines with links to other networks to liven it up. Now the technical bit. The pertinent part with which SvxLink works is the SvxLink.conf file. If anybody has seen the SvxRPT.conf file, then forget it, because SvxLink conf is a very much simpler animal with specific sections for parts of the operation, such as the reflector logic, repeater logic, RX1, TX1, and a few others, but not everything needs to be actioned. Many of the settings in each sector remain commented out, and some sectors are unused. But for all the installations, the global sector is important, as it declares the logics to be involved. Once the repeater logic is declared and the reflector logic is set up, a sector linking the two logics confirms the passive link to the SvxReflector once the SvxLink is set to run. Now buried in the SvxLink package are the component parts for the two other equally interesting applications. The first one I will just mention is the Remote TRX package. This application can be used in remote simplex or duplex units or receiver only units to link in and vote with the actual repeater receiver. But this provides additional repeater coverage or even dual band coverage to an existing site, such as a black spot, provided there is internet connectivity between the two sites. The second and most important of the two packages is SvxReflector. Each SvxLink installation has it, but for obvious reasons it's not used. More of this below. Because of the open source nature of SvxLink, several collaborators have added working logics. None more so than Andreas Adi, DL1HRC with his USRP logic and Tetra logic. So in order to provide additional links to the networked reflectors, Lee and I have made instances of only reflector logic coupled with USRP logic and linked them to All-Star Link or DV switch nodes as fixed talk groups. That is to say that they are always live, and to enable them on a local repeater, the sysop simply adds the talk group to the monitoring list, and whenever the All-Star Link node is active, it wakes the repeater or repeaters. Likewise, if a user wishes to call one of these fixed talk groups when it is not in the repeater's monitoring list, he can do so with 91 plus the talk group assigned number plus the # to connect it dynamically. Because of the nature of our SvxLink, their users cannot dial the talk groups on the SvxLink system. It's a one-way street basically. In summing up, the SvxReflector is the hub of the system. It provides a passive base for connectivity. The dynamic part is down to the participating repeaters and nodes with ancillary connections. Whereas SvxLink is run as a user, I run SvxLink as root. In the same hypervisor, I run the pseudo SvxLink hybrid links, as they do not have the requirement of RF radios and links to them. Everything is on a daily backup and is secured by firewall. Importantly to note, while everybody has the capability of making an SvxReflector, it should not be done. Competing SvxReflectors will do nothing for a community but fracture the activity. It is better to work to have a joint community interlinking the SvxReflectors being the best outcome, as the UK-wide SvxReflector here and the Yorkshire net have achieved to date. If any other users across the planet would like assistance in setting up an SvxReflector, such as I've done with the Canary Islands in the past 24 hours, then please get in touch. There are also networks in Sweden, Germany, Italy and France, although France does not yet have the talk group facility. They're still running a bit behind on the versions. But that's it. That's in a nutshell the SvxReflector. But a little bit more demonstration is called for with the live system here. So we're looking at here the node information. Each of these on the system are either live nodes or they are live links. Those with single talk groups are links generally. But let's go to the node information of each individual node. This changes the pictorial view from single line to blocks. And these blocks give a little bit more information. They tell me what version of SvxLink is running and more often than not where they are located. A number of these will be on the Yorkshire net and some of them are around the world. We've got 2 stations here, for example, who have given their location as Taiwan. We have stations in Warwickshire, we have nationwide, and we have Belgium, and we have the Netherlands, and we have Johannesburg. We have Turkey and South Australia, so there is no restriction. The only restriction, quite frankly, is the internet and the capability of the server. I just hope that the server, this particular server, manages the links we've got. And finally we go back to the dashboard and we select the talk groups. Now these talk groups are in a database table and they can be changed at any time, but these are the general talk groups that I've adopted for use within the UK. There are also listed here the SvxLink nodes for the other systems. For example, we've got 9050, which is actually the SvxLink node number for the East Coast Reflector in the US. But that's now an adopted talk group 9050. Likewise, the one underneath here we've got 49562, which is the USA Boredom Net. That was created during COVID, and the name is stuck. And of course, we've got the bottom, we've got the Rochester Hampton Net, which is our 2585, which is also very, very active. I mentioned 23560. This is where I would normally sit here, which I call the engineering channel. So if anybody's got a problem, they can dial me 23561. But more often than not, it will have a receiver on somewhere and it will wake me up. Not if I'm asleep, of course. And it also will appear on my dashboard, as I indicated in my last video, that the dashboard has now a live link. The only problem with live link, don't have it on all the time because it builds the log tremendously and it might stop your system. So consider that, don't run it all the time. One other thing, go back up to the top of the dashboard and click on the downloads. Here, this is where you can do the downloads. The download count system on isn't working. That should be. There was, when I looked at it this morning, there was a considerable number of downloads. Not exactly truthful downloads, but let's just check my other computer, which is running here. Do that and download. Oh, something's gone wrong. There were 300 odd downloads yesterday. For some reason or other, that particular system has crashed. But never mind. I suspect it might have been doing down to the backup service I run overnight. Nevertheless, this is there. The image for SvxLink, the instructions on how to install it, and a help sheet to use. If I just click on this, nope, that's not going to help. I'll show you momentarily. And this is the help sheet that is downloadable. Gives you briefly an aid to the DTMF codes used to access the various talk groups. So this has been an explanation of the SvxLink Reflector. Obviously the details are of interest to those who are really looking to set up a hub. In which case, please get in touch and I can share the tips and tricks and the software involved to make the visual representation that you've just seen. Bye for now.